Example 4 says find a formula for the slope of the graph of f of x equals 4x squared plus 1 at any given point, x f of x, and then find the slopes of the graph at the point 0, 1 and 1, 5. So what are we going to do? What we're going to do is we're going to find the slope of the graph at a point, which we know is the limit as h approaches 0, of f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. We're going to find that in general. Then we need to find it at x equals 0 and at x equals 1. Those are the two different x values that they're asking for us to plug in. So how do we do this? Well, let's break it into our steps again. Our steps would be, step 1, find f of x plus h. We'll go back to your original function. Wherever there's an x, you're going to plug in x plus h. So f of x plus h would be, let me write this, f of x plus h would be equal to 4 times, instead of x, I'm going to plug in x plus h. Well, now I need to multiply that out, so that'd be 4 times, well again that's x plus h times x plus h, which is x squared, plus xh, which would be plus 2xh, plus h squared. Then we have our plus 1. Again, the way that I got that is by foiling out x plus h times x plus h. Now I'm going to distribute this 4 through to each one of those terms, and I'd have 4x squared plus 8xh plus 4h squared plus 1. So I had to FOIL out the x plus h squared and then distribute the 4 through to each one of those terms. That's my simplified version of f of x plus h. Step 2 again would be take exactly what you got and then subtract off the original function. So what did we just get? We just got 4x squared plus 8xh plus 4h squared plus 1. From that, we're subtracting off the original function. The original function was, and it's really important you put this in parentheses, 4x squared plus 1. Very, very important that you put that in parentheses, because what you need to do is distribute that negative to both terms. So what I have here would be 4x squared plus 8xh plus 4h squared plus 1. We would now have a minus 4x squared and a minus 1. What should be happening here, which is we're able to cancel a couple of those terms. The 4x squareds cancel and the 1's cancel. I'm left with 8xh plus 4h squared. 1 second, typo, 4h squared. Okay, I told you again, what you want to do is factor out an h if possible. Notice both of these terms do have an h, so I can factor out an h. This is going to be h times, well, 8xh divided by h is 8x, and 4h squared divided by h would be plus 4h. So that is the factored version of f of x plus h minus f of x. Step 3 coming in here. We said step 3 would be take exactly what you got and then divide it by h. Take exactly what you got and divide it by h. So we have h times 8x plus 4h. We divide that by h. Notice the reason we factored out the h is because we know we're going to simplify it. And I'm left with 8x plus 4h. Awesome. So that's f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. That is the simplified version of the slope of the secant line. That's what we found now is the slope of the secant line. Secant line is the line between 2 points. So what we want to do now is find the slope of the line between 1 point. So we have to take the limit as h approaches 0 of what we just got. So that is step 4. Step 4 is take the limit as h approaches 0 of what we just got. So let's do that. The limit as h approaches 0 of 8x plus 4h. That is now the slope of the tangent line. To change from the slope of the secant line to the slope of the tangent line, we just need the limit as h approaches 0 of what you got. Okay, well that's cool because all we have to do is take 8x plus 4. All we're doing is taking that h and plugging in 0. So it seems to me that the slope of our tangent line in general, is 8x. And that's what it asked for. It said, what's the slope of the graph at any point? And the answer is 8x, the slope of the tangent line at any point. Now we're going to answer the last two questions, which is step 5, which would be plug in any specific values that they asked for. So they asked for at x equals 0. Well, the slope of the tangent line would then be 8 times 0, which would be 0. So the slope of the tangent line at the point 0, 1 would be 0. What's the slope of the tangent line at x equals 1, or when x equals 1? Well, the slope of the tangent line would be 8 times 1, which is 8. So there's our answers there. In general, no matter what the x value is, the answer would be 8x. When x equals 0, the slope is 0. And when x equals 1, the slope is 8. Okay, let's move on. How about finding the equation of a tangent line? So this one's a little more involved, not too much more involved. Let's go through the steps again. The first step is going to be find the slope of the tangent line. The second step, since we have to find the point, so you know the slope of the line, you know the point, and then the third step is going to be using y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, and then you solve for y. Okay, so that's how we find it. Find an equation of a line, you need to know the slope, you need to know the point, then you need to plug it into y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, so how do we find the slope? Slope of the tangent line. Step 1, slope of the tangent line. Well, we know the slope of the tangent line is the limit as h approaches 0 of f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. But we need to find the slope of the tangent line at x equals 2, very specifically. So we got to figure this out, and then we got to plug in x equals 2. Okay, how are we going to do this? Well, let's do it in our simple steps that we learned in the last part. Let's find out f of x plus h. F of x plus h. We'll go back to your original function. Your original function is x squared minus 2x plus 1. So f of x plus h would be x plus h squared minus 2 times x plus h minus 1. That's everywhere we see an x in the original function, we plugged in x plus h. But we need to do some cleaning up here. X plus h quantity squared, we have to FOIL. That's x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. Then on this next one, we have to distribute that 2 to both of them, the negative 2 really. So that would be minus 2x, and then it would be minus 2h, and then we still have the minus 1. Okay, so there's the simplified version of f of x plus h. What do we do now? Now, the second step is we take exactly what we got, and we want to subtract off the original function. Take exactly everything we just got, which was x squared, sorry, let me use black, x squared plus 2xh plus h squared minus 2x, minus 2h, minus 1, whole bunch of junk, minus the original function. Please, please, please use parentheses here. You've got to remember to use parentheses. That would be x squared minus 2x plus 1 is the original function. Parentheses are so important because I need to distribute that negative. Mouthful, x squared plus 2xh plus h squared minus 2x minus 2h minus 1. Distributing the negative, I would have minus x squared. I'd have a plus 2x, and then I'd have my minus 1. Again, this is a good thing because a whole bunch of stuff should cancel for us. I see the x squareds canceling. I see the minus 2x and the 2x canceling, the minus 1 and the plus 1 canceling. So I'm left with 2xh plus h squared. Then I see a minus 2h. And those are the only terms I'm seeing. Again, I want you to notice each one of these terms has an h. So I can factor out an h. This would be h times Well, 2xh divided by h is 2x. H squared divided by h is just h. Negative 2h divided by h would be negative 2. So this would be the factored version of f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. Let's go on to our third step. What's our third step? Our third step's take the result from that step and divide it by h. So what did we just get? We got h times 2x plus h minus 2. Take all of that and we divide it by h. Our h's simplify and we end up with 2x plus h minus 2. Now we need to go on to, remember this is the slope of the tangent line, or sorry, slope of the secant line. We need to make this the slope of the tangent line. The way that we make it the slope of the tangent line is we take the limit as h approaches 0 of what we just got. So let's do the limit as h approaches 0 of 2x plus h minus 2. Well, this isn't bad because all we're going to do is plug in h equals 0. So that's equal to 2x plus 0 minus 2, which is simply 2x minus 2. So what's the slope of the tangent line? At any given point, it'd be 2 times whatever that x value is minus 2. But we had a very specific point that we were talking about, right? We were talking about when x equals 2. So I'm going to plug in at x equals 2. So number 5, find the slope of that tangent line at x equals 2. So that'd be 2 times 2 minus 2, which is 4 minus 2, which is 2. So the slope of that tangent line, again, is 2. Going back to the original problem, wow, all the way back up there, it says find the slope of the tangent line. We now know that the slope of the tangent line is 2. The second step says find the point. How do we find the point? Well, to find a point, you need an x value and a y value. Well, we're given the x value, x equals 2. How do we find the y value? Just plug 2 into the original function. Well, that'd be 2 squared minus 2 times 2 plus 1. Well, that's 4 minus 4, which is 0, plus 1. I'm getting 1. So I'm getting a y value of 1. So it looks like my point to me is an x value of 2 and a y value of 1. I now know my point. So what do I do now? Now I'm going to use y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So we continue. This would be y minus the y value of the point, which was 1, equals m, the slope was 2, times x minus the x value of the point, which was 2. We need to solve for y, so I'm going to distribute the 2. This is going to be y minus 1 equals 2x, and then 2 times negative 2 would be minus 4. I'm going to add 1 to both sides, and I end up with y equals 2x minus 3. So the equation of the tangent line at when x equals 2 of the graph x squared minus 2x plus 1 should be y equals 2x minus 3. This is the point in time where I'd ask you to use Desmos. When you go on to Desmos, desmos.com, or you're using that Desmos app, again, I want you to graph the original equation, which is y equals x squared minus 2x plus 1. And I also want you to graph y equals 2x minus 3. What you should see is a graph. I don't know how it's going to look, something like that. But here's going to be your point, 2, 1. And then you should see your graph of your tangent line, something like that right there. So you should see the original graph, you should see they go through the same point, and you should see the graph of the red line, the tangent line, is the slope, the slope of the tangent line. The slope of the red line should be the same thing as the slope of the green line at that point. That's what we just did. Okay, that's a lot to do. I hope you understand that. Continue on to the next page. I will let you know, we've been breaking this out into multiple steps. F of x plus h, subtract off the original function, then divide by h, then take the limit. You can do all of those in line in one part. It's nasty. There's a lot of algebra, and it's easier to make algebra mistakes, but I am okay if you do it all at once. And if you follow the textbook, they tend to do it all at once and skip a lot of steps. So just be prepared for that.